The rise of Mona Kimura doesn't begin like most combat sports stories. There is no slow climb, no careful build, no quiet introduction to the spotlight. It begins with noise, with velocity, with impact so sudden that it feels less like a debut and more like an interruption to the natural order. One moment, she is an unknown name stepping into a professional ring for the first time. The next, she is a viral phenomenon, a fighter whose presence seems to collapse time itself, turning minutes into seconds and opponents into afterthoughts. In a world where fighters spend years crafting reputations, Kimura bypassed the process entirely. For fights, for wins, and already the narrative surrounding her feels larger than her record, larger than her division, almost larger than the sport itself. The numbers alone don't explain it. Fighters have started fast before. Prospects have scored early knockouts. But there is something different about the way Kimura operates, something that makes her performances feel less like contests and more like demonstrations of inevitability. Her fights don't unfold, they conclude often before the audience has fully settled into their seats. It started in a place steeped in combat sports history, a venue that demands respect from anyone who steps into it. Debuts are supposed to carry hesitation, a moment of adjustment where training meets reality. But Kimura didn't arrive searching for answers. She arrived with solutions already in motion. From the opening seconds, her stance told a story rooted in years of discipline, a karate foundation honed since childhood. The sidekick came first, sharp and precise, not as a weapon of damage but as a tool of control, dictating distance with mechanical consistency. And then came the left hand, a straight shot delivered with the kind of timing that feels pre-programmed, like a sequence executed before the opponent even realizes the question has been asked. 92 seconds later, it was over. A debut that should have been a beginning instead felt like a conclusion. That performance alone would have been enough to generate interest, but Kimura doesn't operate in moderation. Her second outing followed a similar script, but this time against experience, against a fighter who understood the rhythms of the sport and expected to impose them. Experience, however, proved irrelevant in the face of pressure that never relented. Kimura's style isn't built on variety, it's built on repetition so precise it becomes suffocating. Sidekicks snapping out with relentless frequency, straight punches threading through openings that seemed to appear on command. The damage accumulated quickly, and when the blood came, it shifted the tone entirely. This wasn't just dominance, it was disruption. The fight ended not with a dramatic knockout, but with a medical stoppage, the kind that signals not just defeat but physical compromise. Another win, another statement, another opponent unable to extend the narrative. And then something happened that no training camp can prepare for and no promoter can manufacture. The internet found her. A clip, simple in its construction but powerful in its execution, began to circulate. The sidekicks, thrown with flawless posture and uncanny resemblance to something almost fictional, caught the attention of audiences far beyond traditional combat sports circles. It spread rapidly, crossing borders and languages, accumulating millions of views in days. The comparisons came naturally, linking her to imagery that felt both nostalgic and iconic. And then, as if to cement the transformation from fighter to phenomenon, 50 Cent amplified it, placing her in front of an audience that extended far beyond the reach of any single promotion. With that moment, Kimura stopped being just a prospect. She became an idea, a symbol, something that lived simultaneously in the ring and in the digital imagination of millions. But attention can be a double-edged sword. Virality creates expectations, and expectations demand validation. The next step wasn't just another fight, it was a test of legitimacy on the biggest stage available. When she stepped into that arena, the stakes felt different. Across from her stood a champion, a fighter with experience measured not in moments but in years. This was no longer about quick finishes or viral highlights. This was about proving that the spectacle could survive structure, that the chaos could be controlled over 3 full rounds. From the opening bell, Kimura imposed her rhythm once again, the same tools, the same patterns, but now under a brighter light and against a more resilient opponent. The sidekicks continued to dictate distance, preventing any sustained offense from developing. The straight punches landed with clinical efficiency, each one reinforcing the gap in speed and timing. The knockout didn't come this time, but in its absence, something else emerged. Control. Complete, undeniable control over every second of the fight. It ended on the scorecards, a shutout that spoke louder than any early finish could have. Against a seasoned opponent under maximum pressure, Kimura didn't just win. She dominated in a way that removed doubt entirely. To understand how she arrived here, you have to go back long before the professional record, back to a childhood defined by repetition and discipline. Karate at the age of 4, a foundation built before most children understand competition. 7 consecutive national titles before adolescence had fully taken shape. These aren't just achievements, they are indicators of a mindset, a relationship with training that blurs the line between routine and identity. By the time she transitioned into boxing, representing her country on an international stage, she had already internalized the mechanics of combat in a way that few ever do. That amateur journey included setbacks, moments where victory wasn't guaranteed, where the narrative didn't align perfectly. But those moments didn't derail her path, they redirected it. Professional kickboxing became the outlet, the environment where her skill set could evolve into something more aggressive, more expressive, more aligned with her natural tendencies. And once she entered that space, the results followed immediately. What makes Kimura compelling isn't just what she's accomplished in such a short time. It's the sense that she's operating far ahead of her timeline. At 25, with only 4 professional fights, she carries the aura of someone much further along in their career. There is a sharpness to her movements, a clarity in her decision-making, that suggests a ceiling still far from view. Each fight feels less like a peek and more like a preview. And that's where the real intrigue lies. Not in the knockouts, not in the viral moments, not even in the undefeated record. It's in the unknown, in the unanswered questions that hover just beyond the current narrative. How does she adapt when faced with adversity she can't immediately solve? How does her style evolve against opponents who refuse to be controlled? What happens when the fights get longer, when the exchanges become more complex, when the simplicity of dominance gives way to the necessity of adjustment? Right now, those questions remain unanswered, and perhaps that's what makes her story so compelling. Because for all the attention, all the hype, all the comparisons and labels, the truth is that this journey is still in its earliest stages. The performances we've seen so far feel less like a complete picture and more like an opening chapter, a glimpse of something still forming. And that leaves the audience in a unique position, watching not just a fighter, but the emergence of something that could redefine expectations within her division. Every fight adds another layer, another piece to a puzzle that is still far from complete. The record says 4 wins, 0 losses. The reality suggests something far more complex, a trajectory that feels almost unpredictable in its potential. If you've followed her rise so far, then you already understand that this isn't just about results. It's about momentum, about presence, about the feeling that every time she steps into the ring, something significant is about to happen. So what do you think comes next for Mona Kimura? Does the dominance continue as the competition rises, or do we finally see someone push her into uncharted territory? Share your thoughts below, and if you want more deep, story-driven breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next chapter as it unfolds.